Mabuhay. Kamustik, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. I'm going to do say my piece here today on a topic about seven perspectives that you need to know about your Filipina. And then afterwards, if others are here, we can get into talking about things. And but for now, I just want to get started. And if you want to talk about about the topic that you think about while I'm, talking. We can talk about that. Just leave a comment. We can talk about pretty much anything else. In addition to that, this is Love Beyond the Sea. It's a channel for men who are serious about a relationship with a Filipina. And I use what I've learned from over 6 years of marriage. Parabiology 101. Good evening to you too. It's a little bit late here today. In fact, it's already dark outside, so times are changing. And but it's good to have you here today. And let me know if you know some things about Filipinos already. Parabiology. I'm going to talk about some perspectives I think are helpful for one to have with the woman from the Philippines, and just let people know this. Channel is for men serious about relationship with a woman. By serious, I mean married. That's how you show whether you're serious about someone and not just fooling around. You want to marry them. And I got married to my Filipina back in 2015 after a very quick relationship before marriage. And we've been married for over 6 years now. And so it's always on my mind. Excuse me. I had a cat in here for a few days, and I think the fur is still around, even though the cat hasn't been, and I am allergic to the cats. So I want to talk about in this channel things that um, a person needs to know, because there are some things you need to know when you're with a woman from another country so very far away, probably so very different than you are. So let me get into what I want to say here today, and we can always talk afterwards. This is seven perspectives about your Filipina you need to know. So I think this will be a great help to anyone who desires to pursue a Filipina or who may already be married to one. I get the idea. This is something that needs to be talked about more. Please subscribe here to Love Beyond the Sea for helpful perspectives on foreigner and Filipino relationships. And today, perspectives is what it's all about. I have podcasts on casting beyond the sea. You can subscribe to on Podbean, and my website is lvbts.com. In fact, this might be the most important thing the man can do, and it isn't backbreaking work, just simply to see your relationship from her perspective. In order to do that, you'll need to be familiar with the Philippines in general and talk to your Filipina about certain things. For those who are serious about marrying a Filipina, I want you to listen to all of this and please leave your comments. I have talked to people or read their comments and have gotten the impression they think they're merely going to marry a young woman from the Philippines, rescuing her from poverty that she might be surrounded by, whisk her off to his country, and that in itself will provide for her a great life. If only it were that simple. Granted, she might have grown up poor, she might not have met a good man yet, and she'd like to make something of her college degree and want to help her family. However, it is a major leap from that to she will marry a foreigner and all will be well. Here are my seven perspectives of your Filipina you'll need to know. Number one, her family is number one. This is not meant to dissuade anyone from seeking a Filipina to marry. I married one in May of 2015 and love that woman dearly. She has been so good to me and for me. When we met on a dating site called Christian Filipina, not 8 weeks had gone by and we were married. And I can tell you that most of that time was spent communicating with her not getting a feel for things on the internet about Filipinas and the Philippines. I just had to put first things first and talk with her a lot. Since marriage, I have been able to do the usual research. It may have been a blessing, or at least a positive, that I went into it kind of blind. I certainly didn't go into it scared or timid, though. I think for most of us, this is the key issue for the foreign man. He is used to asking someone out that is likely not poor, and he wouldn't want her to be. He woos her, charms her, proposes, and they get married and live in the same area of the country where they have relatively easy access to family and friends. There are the usual adjustments to marriage, but nothing out of the ordinary for either one. I'm not sure much of this applies in an international venture. Since many guys want to marry a younger woman, they will have to go outside their country for that. That's where the dynamics change. The lovely Filipina you desire to be with someday has a reputation for working overseas to help her family manage, and she will marry overseas to help her family. She is not marrying the foreigner because he is the sexiest man alive. She isn't marrying him because he is the smartest man alive. She will look for someone she thinks is kind and a good person, but she must take care of her family. It's an obligation, whether she likes it or not. This may sting for a while, but that's okay. I am sure from her perspective, she doesn't know what all the fuss is about, and I strongly suggest that you do the same. I think it is unreasonable for her to marry someone from a zillion miles away and not feel like she is going to be able to provide for her family back home. And perhaps she has been doing this for a while. All it took was one trip to the Philippines to fully comprehend how important this was to Filipinas. The older foreigner should be extremely grateful. The dynamics are what they are. If I was so wonderful in the eyes of women, I wouldn't have gone 30 years without a relationship here in America. Whatever they were looking for, it wasn't me. They didn't think I could give them what they needed. Guess not. But I am glad they thought that way because the Filipina that I married so quickly has made me a very happy man. But that is because I don't resist the notion that she married a foreigner so she could work in a country to make more money for her family. I just accept that. Here's what the foreign man needs to realize: the Filipina is not stupid. She doesn't want to involve herself with someone who will make her unhappy. She assumes he is decent enough and worth the risk of marrying him. She doesn't think he is a fool. She thinks he can be a good husband to her, a responsible one that he can trust. I'm too busy enjoying my marriage to keep looking over my shoulder, wondering if she married for an opportunity for her family or for that, plus finding a man that is worth going all the distance for. Once we got married, we just need to live like we are married. Another perspective: she might not want your financial help. She might not, necessarily want it. He shouldn't even assume that she wants him to help her. She may have been used to providing all by herself and assumes that you will allow her to work full time and then some in order to even better provide for her family in the Philippines. If you don't want her to work a lot of hours or not at all, then it is important to cover this before getting too serious. Some men could afford to provide all the help themselves, but the Filipina might not want that. In our case, I have helped because I want to. I love her family, but my wife insists on doing the bulk of this. Another perspective: she is taking a risk. The Filipina is taking a huge risk, and I, for one, recognize that and appreciate that she was taking it with me. Um, Let me hold. Well, I can't. I just had a message I was going to respond to, and it disappeared. So I know there is a lot of sentiment that the foreign man is taking a ton of risk, right? But let's not forget what the Filipina is getting herself into. Many Westerners beat their Filipinas, and the women are concerned about that. In fact, when a Filipina goes to the mandatory conference for Filipinos overseas, they will be provided information about what to do in the event of domestic abuse. how she can get help. This is common enough that even, my wife's friends were asking her about this. They also can't be too sure of what kind of a man that she is marrying when they have not had a whole lot of time to spend together in person. And not only that, but working through some difficult situations together. I think that's where the relationship grows together or grows apart. She is moving thousands of miles away into a different culture. Frankly, I am amazed how well my wife has adjusted. Learning to drive, getting a job, getting promoted, going to school, taking great care of our house and me. Another perspective. Yes, she dislikes the poverty, but she loves the Philippines. It isn't realistic to think that just because she has grown up in a poor country that she is miserable. As is always pointed out, Filipinos in general come off as happy and pleasant and resourceful. One of the ways of being resourceful is to work overseas and even marry someone overseas. My wife is always elated to visit the Philippines. I hope we can do it again this year, which makes me want to go with her. As an American, I might conclude that she is miserable in what we would consider poor conditions, but I don't think that is always necessarily the case with a Filipina. Phil's to Phoenix is here. Yep, there you are. It's good morning over there. It's uh, what, what do you say? Magandang gabi over here where I'm from. Another thing here, these are perspectives. She may be unsure if the foreigner will be trustworthy. That could happen. The Filipina can only hope the foreign man has done enough for her to trust him while they have been dating online. Very frequently in these sorts of relationships, you do have to trust a little more, maybe assume a little more. That's why it's always a good idea to talk to other people about the person that you are involved with. Don't hide it from anyone. Don't keep it a secret because somebody might be able to give you the information that you need that will show that that is a good, valid relationship, or they might be able to spot some red flags. Another perspective: she may be unsure if the foreigner will abuse her. So I mentioned that up there in passing earlier. Physical abuse is something that, again, the Philippines warns Filipinos who are leaving the country. This can happen when she's working overseas, or it can happen with the person she marries. This is a real concern for her. And it's a shameful reality, but too many times Filipinas have been mistreated. Many Westerners beat their Filipinas. And then again, that conference for Filipinos overseas, when my wife went there and she came back, she was asking some strange questions. And I thought, what in the world has gotten into her? And well, she had to go to that conference just a couple days earlier, and I think they gave her some information. And I was kind of taken back by that, but I've kind of accepted that that's just something that their government needs to do. Now, my final perspective here is she may want to speak to your family and friends before you're married. And consider this a good sign and don't be afraid of it. My wife wanted to speak with my pastor and my mom and my aunt. That to me shows she is serious about making sure she makes a good decision if she were to marry a foreigner. Now, obviously, unless it's a private conversation, anybody can say anything about someone. And I was there when she was talking to my pastor. I didn't leave the room, but I wasn't in sight. But my pastor gave us his blessing to get married after talking to my wife for about 40 minutes. It seems like just yesterday. So honestly, for your own good, see life through your Filipina's perspective, and you'll save yourself a lot of sorrows with your love beyond the sea. So before I see if anyone has any comments to talk about, I want to scroll through these again. Her family, number one. Another perspective is she might not want your financial help. She might want to show you she can pull her own weight. She might even resist some of your help, um, especially early on. Realize that she may feel that she is taking a big risk. She dislikes the poverty, but she loves the Philippines. She probably ordinarily wouldn't want to leave. She may be unsure if the foreigner will be trustworthy, and she might be unsure if the foreigner will abuse her. And she may want to speak with your family and friends, the very people that you might want to not know about your relationship with her. Well, those might be the people she wants to talk to. I appreciate the thumbs up, Parabology 101. Phil's to Phoenix, and Meech Saiji Polska. Very hard to pronounce. But I'm glad you're here. I mean, this is the time to ask questions. I've just talked about some perspectives that you may or may not have thought about when trying to marry a Filipina. And won't cost you an arm and a leg is here. Thank you for joining us. Now, I've been talking about some perspectives to have. We can talk about anything else here. That's the main part I wanted to do, and just mix it up and do the live stream. I spent all day today, Friday, thinking it was Saturday, because my wife was home, and it just really threw me off. So now tomorrow will feel like Sunday, but it'll be Saturday, and laundry day, and football day. So now we're in football season, college football season, and that's kind of the starting point of the year in some respects for many people here in Nebraska. Um, if the question there is how many Filipinas have I been with, um, just the one, just my wife. We got married well, I proposed to her on day 18. I thought it was like 3 months, but I guess when you're busy at work and you're busy chatting with her and you talk so much and you think about it, um, maybe it gets serious fast. But she was the only one, and then I did all the preparations, got time off of work. Let's see, it was May. Well, it was actually April, so I hadn't used vacation. So I had enough vacation to go down there for 4 weeks. I didn't have a passport, but luckily there was a passport weekend at the post office. And so, and then I got it expedited. So that was helpful, and made an appointment at the embassy where you do have to stop by and pay $50 at the time, taking an oath that you were not married to somebody. And strange as it may seem. And so that's just something I had to do. The Philippine has to get something very similar to that, and that would be a CENIMAR, Certificate of No Marriage. Um, and your question here, how many Filipinos you've been with? Women are women. So that's one thing I try to mention here on Love Beyond the Sea. I think women are all generally the same. I mean, you get someone from Afghanistan that just got off the plane here. I suppose things could be a little different, but yes, many Filipinos speak English, um, and they look up to, maybe have a certain interest or awe or respect in the United States. That doesn't hurt, but the thing is, the way you treat her is everything. And I've shared in 6 years plus of my relationship with her, um, what I've learned works and what I've learned doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, you want to do something differently. And a perspective I also didn't put in the video that I could add is try to put her first. Help her out as much as you can. I mean, my whole perspective is I respect my Filipino wife for breaking the curse of 30 years alone. And she is an amazing woman. To be married to me takes a certain amount of amazingness. And we've been married for 6 years, and I honestly do believe we'll be married until one of us goes. And we talk about that too. I certainly hope that it isn't her, but I value what she has done to be my wife. Marriage to her has been better than I thought it would be. I mean, I didn't really have a great background for it. I mean, for what to expect. Um, been a long time since I had a relationship, and marriage is much more serious. You can't just leave because things get tough, or you discover things you didn't know. And so, I'm the boss of the relationship, if you want to call it that, or the CEO, the head of the marriage. I tell my wife that because I want her to know I'm responsible, um, for the health, for the condition, for the direction of the relationship. And so, I'm going to try not to be demanding of her because nobody wants somebody to be demanding to them. That's just another perspective that I have learned. Phyllis to Phoenix, living in Cebu since October of last year. Hardly seems, John, that it's been that long ago, but that's almost a year. Tempe, Arizona for won't cost you an arm and a leg. No, not much experience at all. I had a, I had almost said I had a serious relationship for a couple of years, but I mean it was an exclusive relationship, but it wasn't serious because at that time I didn't, I was younger and not thinking about marriage, and I didn't really know much about anything, and so I had a long time off. But as I explained in the video I made, I learned from people. I learned from a lot of people. I always would try to pick their brain about marriage, and I read the books. I was old enough to have watched, um, listened to these little cassette tapes and buy the, what do they call them, VHS video tapes, and watch those. And of course, now you got most anything available on YouTube and Google. And of course, the Bible is the main book or guidebook that I follow because I think it's infallible, and I think it works if you give yourself to that. So I am living proof, no matter what anyone thinks, that you can be inexperienced, but you have to be prepared. When our football team takes the field, we have guys who are, let's say, second string or third string in any sport, and they just have not had the same on-field experience, to get used to the speed of the game. But all they can do is practice. They can ask the coaches anything. They can watch hours of film. They can talk to the guys that are playing, and they can be prepared for when their number gets called some game and they have to go in there. And those coaches are going to expect them to perform, or they're not even going to be third string next time. So they have to be ready. And so, kind of like that, I felt like I was as ready as I was going to be. I don't know that you can ever be ready for marriage. People say, "Well, Bob, you're 40 years old, or you're 35, or you're 30. You must not be ready for marriage." Well, that's kind of insulting and demeaning. They didn't know anything about me as I was learning, and I've been learning on the job too. I think my wife has been. I think all of you guys, especially John, has been married for about the same amount of years that we have. it's a learning experience. You get married, then you start learning, and then things get serious, and you have to make good decisions, and you got to ride out some storms. If you want it to last, you just have to do what you have to do for it to work. So, John, if you want to, you can always uh, drop in some comments about some perspectives you think are important to know about being married to a Filipina, maybe some perspectives you think are important to just dating a Filipina or dating her online, even. Uh, John's been doing walking videos in Cebu, Philippines. It is Saturday there. It's going to be Saturday over here. But man, have I been messed up today, and I just took a little nap. I didn't know what week it was. But I wanted to do a live stream here today, get the topic out, and then see where it goes from here. No, women aren't women at all. What do you mean? Won't cost you an arm and a leg. I think there's certain. I mean, I can remember way back to that girlfriend I had before I got married, and you know, roughly the same age as my wife, believe it or not. Um, you know, very much some similarities in how you can hurt their feelings without maybe even realizing it. How your bent for being selfish will affect a woman, how your tone of voice can affect her, how just being selfish and that can affect her. You just have to learn. I think the way you get ready for marriage is to get married, then be committed to staying married. And I'm looking for your comment about my wonderful hair here, Polska. Sorry about making comments about your mangy hair. Can I send you a comb? Well, no, you don't need to send me a comb. What does this look like? The problem is I have very curly hair, and it's going to do what it wants to do. And sometimes it's all over the place. But I think I'd rather have hair than not hair. Sometimes I have dreams and I'm looking in the mirror and I have no hair. I'm asking myself, how in the world did this happen? And then and then I wake up and I realize I still have hair, but having hair is a good thing. Okay. Now, cultures are totally different. I mean, there's some similarities, but they are different. We have to be on time here. Um, your boss is going to insist that you're on time. And maybe they do too in the Philippines, but there's just things move slower over there. And I mean, a Filipina that wants to immerse herself into her new culture can and will. I think they're extremely adaptable. I mean, my wife, now she's a citizen. I just did that video when we went to Chicago on Tuesday to get her dual citizenship reinstated. And she's been a citizen since maybe May of this year. And she says this is her country now, the United States. I mean, only she knows exactly what she means by that. But the Philippines is where she lived for, 27 years before she came here. And now she has immersed herself into the United States way of living, which is a lot of work. She's been going to school, and she did really well the first round of classes, and now we have an official semester starting, and she's going to be very busy until the end of the semester. And she has her goals, and at work, I think she feels like to advance, she has to have a college degree, and she probably is correct. It doesn't necessarily have to completely match up with her job. I've seen people when I worked, they said the same thing, no degree, no promotion, and just had to have one. Some people didn't even have one, but they were involved with getting one, and that was good enough for management to promote them. Her degree will have to do with work, and I think it can be very lucrative for her someday as she plows through all this study. And when I can help her, I do that, and it feels really good. No, I'm not Roman Catholic, if you're referring to me. When I was looking for a wife in the Philippines, I picked uh, Protestant, was what they had. It's only my second cup of coffee since COVID. Since I got my vaccine in June, I just lost all desire for coffee for some reason. Maybe that's a rare side effect, but just felt like having some tonight. Phil's to Phoenix, cultures are different from area to area. Even within the United States, there are several different subcultures. Yes, so you can't make any assumptions, but uh, Polska, I do think women are women. 25-year-old women here are very similar to 25-year-old women, in the Philippines and anywhere else, and 35-year-old women are the same. And I mean, they're women. I believe in two genders. You are born a male, you are born a female, and when you get older, you're going to act like other males, and you're going to act like other females. Um, Podcast works for me. I do have, I think, 100 and let me see here on my list, 151 podcasts I should have up there, just a way for to reach people with the message that don't want to look at the screen. I don't usually look at the screen anyway when I watch videos. I have one on for background noise. I certainly don't intend to just stare at the screen, if I'm walking or who knows, at the gym or here at home. But, other people like to look at the screen. Other people like to, look at podcasts. And thanks to Mr. E, I've been able to do some podcasting. Hopefully, we'll continue to do that. But no comb necessary. In fact, my wife, we just talked about this. She wants me to grow my hair even longer. And I don't know. We'll have to see about that. Basically, I want to please her, but she wants my hair longer, then shorter, then longer. Wants no beard, then beard, no beard, beard. So I guess whatever mood she's in, we'll try to satisfy her with that. But yeah, we could get longer with the hair, and then you guys may have to come up with another name for my hair if it gets longer. So you are sharing just one opinion based on your relationship with a Filipina. Well, this is my channel on Love Beyond the Sea, and I am in communication with other people, several other people right now that you don't hear about on the channel, that we've been talking about Filipinas and their desire to pursue a Filipina, and they're all in, well, they're actually all in similar situations now because, COVID started what, over a year ago, maybe more. It's gone so fast. But they, I listen to them and their experiences, and they're very common and understandable. And I just try to help them be prepared for that day and when they can go out there and meet each other. And I think you want to learn as much as you can, but until you pull the safety net, you know, you really just don't have to go all out and have to think through things very carefully um, for the good of the relationship. So that's why I don't think people have to be terribly concerned if they don't have a lot of experience. There's certainly a lot of 20 and 30 and 40-year-old men who don't have a lot of experience with women. And so that's not something they can control necessarily, but they can control how committed they want to be, and getting good people to talk to that care about them, and want to be very open to them about the things you're getting into. And sometimes it's hard to find that. Um, but I've always had somebody try to help me for a while, and then they disappear, and then somebody else would show up, and they disappear. But I always look for people to help me understand that I needed a wife, and I was serious about trying to find one. So yeah, that's my experience. I don't think it's terribly different than others, except for perhaps the fact that, we're not supposed to marry a younger woman. We're not supposed to marry a younger Filipina and bring her to the United States. We're not supposed to marry a younger woman, bring her to the United States, and then let her work and teach her how to drive and all of that. But again, a woman she'll want to work, she'll want to have her own things. Filipina will want to support her family, so she's going to work. And I think she will take more satisfaction out of working herself than having the husband, just pull money out of his wallet and give to her. But each person is different. Each person grows up with different set of parents and different life experiences. But there are some things that I just think you know transcend everybody and work for everyone. And let's see, there are four people on now. And that's not a surprise, Polska, because I just decided to do the live stream today. Um, just hadn't done a video or an upload for a couple days. Main thing is I just want to say my piece, and then if something comes up, somebody wants to talk about stuff, we can do that. And so, by the way, um, talking about the channel and viewership, views are down, comments are down. I've got 833 subscribers. Kind of thought that by now, after 3 years and 6 months, that there would be a lot more. I know a guy told me like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, he said, you should have 4,000 subscribers by now. Well, that'd be nice, but I am very dogmatic about what I say, and I'm sure that's part of the problem. But everybody's different. I'm different. I'm going to have to be myself and say what I can talk about and what I feel strongly about. And so that comes out here in this channel, I'm sure. So while it'd be nice if there were 40 people here, I don't know. I don't know that day will ever come. Maybe it will. They used to say, once you get to 1,000 subscribers, or I should say, until you get to 1,000 subscribers, that the YouTube algorithm pretty much ignores you, because other channels with similar themes or genres will garner all of the views first. They got more subscribers, they're getting more likes, excuse me, more comments, and people are going to see their videos way before they get to yours. They may not even get to yours. And so you get the table scraps, the scraps that fall on the floor sometimes. Well, I don't know, just make videos and hopefully it works. As I say all the time, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't I don't do this channel for fun. It didn't start on Valentine's Day of 2018, I think it was. Just a channel for fun. I'm a serious person. Fun is nice, but I want this to be effective, and I want to be real, and I want to be serious about it. And if it doesn't go well, then I guess I hope it helps some people. But um, there are a lot more people that I have been helping one on one outside of this channel. I kind of wish they would go to the videos and leave comments there so other people can learn from them. But usually it happens one on one, and then people don't get to learn from that. But the main thing is that I'm helping people. That's what this channel is all about. I could care less about you knowing about me or you knowing about my wife or you knowing about us, because we're no different or better than anyone else. I do want to help people with what works, and sometimes I feel like I'm a little more honest than some people are. I don't have an agenda here to tell you that Filipinas, are the greatest, that they're all the greatest, that it's always going to work, that all you got to do is have white skin and a long nose and be from the West and everything's going to be fine, because that could end in absolute disaster if you don't know what you're doing. Kind of like the withdrawal of our troops from Afghanistan. No plan ends in disaster, and I try not to sugarcoat things here in uh, in this channel. That's why it's for people that really want to make a go of it and make it work. What you should be concerned about, maybe what you shouldn't be too concerned about. So just taking a look here. Okay, somebody deleted a message, so I can't see that. Trying to catch up here. You know what? I need to use my phone instead, I think. Oh, John says he's mopping the floor while watching. See, you don't have to keep your eye on the screen. All you have to do is hear what's going on. Mopping the floor, I can honestly say I've not mopped the floor here in 6+ years of marriage. My wife pretty much handles all of those things. She is amazing. She's able to work full time, going to school full time, but she'll get some breaks in there, and then she's going to have to really relax. We just got back from Chicago on her only day off from school, and went there and came back the same day. That was about an 18-hour day, just to get there and back, and didn't go to bed right away either. So I think we both shook that off by now. But she's very, very busy. She likes to do the shopping. She made a roast of all things, which I'm going to enjoy as soon as I'm done with this. Um, she discovered that she likes pot roast. Don't think she had that before in the Philippines. Lawrence of Torrance. Whoops. Have you ever thought of having guests on? I've only had a guest a couple times. One was Big Rob, although that might have been a podcast. And then Phil's Phoenix, John, we did one with him. The guests are kind of difficult for me because, not being an expat, not being a sexpat, sometimes it's hard for me to find someone I think I can really relate to on the channel. John says, but that's a good question. It's a fair question, about having guests. I mean, other people have some weird topics. I actually get more comments commenting on other people's videos than I do my own. I think of the semen retention thing. Yes, semen retention is a big thing today. It's been a big thing for thousands of years, but I guess it's making a comeback. And I incited some things on those videos. I'd make a great guest on their channel if they want the opposite view, but they don't want me on their channel either, I guess. Lawrence of Torrance says expats are leaving Southeast Asia in droves, and I can see why. It does seem a little bleak, although there was a video today from a guy named Marker 44. You can look that up yourself. Marker 44. I think I saw it this morning, about Philippines hiring and actually training for the last 3 months more immigration workers, perhaps in expectation of opening up the country And we're still standing by. We'd like to go to the Philippines over Christmas. And right now, I mean, we could, but we don't want to do the quarantine thing, even if it's 7 days. I don't want to be. We're going to probably be down to about 3 weeks now, and I want to spend 1 week in a hotel quarantining, paying for it myself. We've been vaccinated mainly for that very reason. Traveling to the Philippines, that might be necessary for a long time to be vaccinated. So we got vaccinated, and now we still can't go, at least not without quarantine, and we don't want to do that. Um, John said no, he chose to help where he can. That's what a relationship is. Yeah, it is help. John, there are times now that Eyes is in school and she just doesn't have the desire or the time to cook. So the things she wants me to cook are easy: rice, eggs, hot dogs, that sort of thing. Chop those wieners up, and or go to the store, go to Chick-fil-A, and so that's fine. I can help her. Um, I should. Makes her job easier. She certainly. It's a give and take thing, and John knows that. Being married for 6 years, you need to choose to help. I mean, you just you have to stay active in that relationship. So that is very true. And they are leaving. I don't know if they'll come back one day. Nevertheless, I still think Filipina can make a good wife. I know 3 people right now, at least, who are wanting to get out there and meet someone. And I certainly hope that they get that opportunity. Now, parabiology says, I disagree respectfully, Bob. It's better if she doesn't work and she doesn't need her own separate income. That will not necessarily make her more happy. Well, you'll have to see about what her goals are. Um, I think the great majority, and I could be wrong because I don't know, but just my sense is that if you had 100 Filipinas come over to America, or a mix of countries, that the majority are going to want to work, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They expect to. Some of them do not want to have the give the impression to her husband that she only married him for his money. Some of them, older daughters, have been responsible. They've been working, and they kind of would like the opportunity to have some things for themselves too. And she should. And you also have to consider, with an age gap, that you know that woman is, especially if she's going to stay here in America, one of the more expensive places, it behooves her to be able to work and have her own job. My wife said from day one, early on, before we got married, that she wanted to work. She didn't want to rely on me, and she hasn't. Now I've helped out a lot because I like to help, and I tell her to be generous to others. Things usually work out very well that way, and it has. But that's something you'll have to talk to about her about working parabiology. She may want to work that, and she may not even tell you. Better ask her, that she wants to work. What she doesn't want to do is go over to the new country and sit there with nothing to do. And if she's a go-getter and she's a plugger, she's a hard worker, she's going to want to work. She doesn't want, and she's going to want her own car. Why? Well, why not? Everybody, she sees 18-year-olds around here driving, high school kids, look like children sometimes now, but they're driving. She's going to want to drive. If you're working at different places, that's just a good idea. I think it's very good to help her learn to drive, and let her work. My wife works full time. She works every other weekend, has to, um, and she's doing really, really well. If she gets a job, that she'd like to have, that she thinks she needs a college degree for, she'll be making more than I was. And, I want her to reach her potential. Um, I think for her, she needs to work. Now, if another woman, someone else you're dating, they may, if it, but what are they going to do? If they're not going to work, then they need to have a baby and stay home with that baby. What are they going to do? Be on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram all day? That's She's not going to be happy with that. And then you're not going to be happy with her. So my wife said she wanted to work. She's in a great situation now, and got to remember she may live here for 30 years after I'm gone, and she's going to need money. She's going to have to know how to do things. I think it's not that you were suggesting this, but what, she's going to have to know how to pay bills and not necessarily write checks, but do it online and do credit cards, and know how that works, and have deadlines and pay different things at different places and keep track of it all. And that's just being responsible here. And if you have a responsible Filipina, she's going to want to stretch herself and be responsible, just like mine. Horace McKenna, thank you for joining us here tonight on Love Beyond the Sea. Horace, I lift. I get hurt a lot too. I've had a lot of surgeries. I've had 10 surgeries, but none for a while. But I do get, as I get older, and I'm almost 60, in fact, we'll be 60 in a month. Um, so that'll be a different perspective. It's important, I think, to keep your bones strong, uh, muscles strong, because, well, your bone mineral density gets lower. I know mine is lower. So we want to do what we can to help that. And lifting helps. I think it probably helps you sleep better. It probably helps everything. Circulation. If you can walk, I can't lift like I used to because I'm just not as strong, and I'm going to blow something out if I even tried. So many things I used to do in the gym, I just can't do. I do a lot of cables, cables, this, that, um, you know, this, bands. I do a lot. Probably 90% of what I do is with the cables and the bands, and you can get quite sophisticated using cables and bands. You really can, and you can make progress that way. But yeah, I hope to be physically active till the day I die. I've been probably, since I was 20 years old. When did I get back from South Dakota? 80, no, went 81, came back in 82. So yeah, since then I pretty much tried to stay as active as I can. I paid for it, but I'm just kind of afraid of being sedentary. I just don't want to do that. Here's a good question from Horace. Phil's to Phoenix. Are there any good gyms open in Cebu? Um, that's a good question, because if we're in Davao, I'd kind of like to find a gym, although I'd probably be disappointed um, with the setup and the equipment compared to the places that we have here um, in America. Parabiology says, hi Horace, I used to, and just getting back into it, having my rotator cuff severed and pinned back in. Yeah, I had rotator damage on my this shoulder. I got that repaired. Imagine being a guy that likes to lift weights, and you have to go 4.5 months not lifting any weight. 4.5 months not lifting any weight. And then you start with 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 5 pounds. Then it can start to go up, more rapidly after that. But I had 2 surgeries here, 1 surgery there. I've had 4 on my knees. I've had my back operated on, but I still want to be as active as I can be because I am getting older. And um, well, when you're kind of running out of time, your perspective can change, and you want to take better care of yourself. Um, Horace says, I have been lifting some, just got back to benching 500 pounds. Not many people can bench 500 pounds, not in one rep anyway. That's a heck of a lot of weight. I wouldn't have arms if I tried to bench press 500 pounds. Uh, yeah, I'm very good. 500 pounds is unbelievable. Um, yeah, Horace says Philippines has to open as soon as possible. This has destroyed their economy. I heard the other day that the tourism industry in the Philippines is not as lucrative as we assume it is, that they can afford to ignore that for a while longer. But usually the thought is that they're going to crumble without the tourism, and I don't know, that may or may not be the same. Oh, I didn't know you were just outside LA, parabiology. Horace is moving to the Ukraine. A lot of people have been leaving the United States for one reason or another. Parabiology says close to 100% of women are happier and more fulfilled as housewives and mothers. I can provide for her modest dreams. She said, whichever way I want, working or not. And that's important that you talk about that, of course. Um, and I would think that most any woman would be more fulfilled, more happier, more satisfied to be a mother. Um, but you need to find out, because she may assume that, oh, you're going to have children, but she's going to keep working to help provide for her children. Then you're going to have to kind of get out the raw numbers and show her how it can work, how much money you're going to have. It'll change your tax status a little bit, but I don't know how much a big deal that will be. You're just gonna have to show her we can make this work on what I'm making. I do think the most important work for a woman is being a mother. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Um, and if I was able to give my wife a baby, we would have, she would have had a baby. So, she's accepted that. We did try quite a bit, and she's accepted that. So now it's plan B. And, that just shows her maturity. Like any Filipina, like most Filipinas, yeah, having a baby is extremely important. In fact, it may be the supreme thing for a Filipina to desire. John says, I know many Filipinos that have come back to the Philippines after just a few years. I just I just saw a video about that. This would have been, because they might be told it's expensive here. You're going to be working a lot, maybe 6 days a week just to keep your head above water. And until they experience that, they may think that money is just easier accessible here, and it's just not. You do have to work for it. Lance Germain, I was in the Marines for 10 years and depend something on the Philippines. Thank you, Lance, for being here. Parabiology says I can buy a car for her. Already have one will stay home as well, and she'll be set for life. It will teach her, though, nonetheless. Yeah, learn to drive, got to prepare for her without you. And if you're a lot older, then, well, you need to prepare for it anyway, but especially if you are older. Here in Nebraska, driving is a lot more simpler than in where you are in near Los Angeles, I'm sure. But I don't know. I just think it depends on the woman. I mean, if you're Filipina saying, I want to work, I want to learn how to drive, um, I want to make the most of myself, that just may be her bent, and it may be stronger than her husband's. And I'm not going to try to stifle my wife. I've tried to help her as much as possible, and I can honestly say I have not, paid any price for that. Yeah, Filipinas, I've always liked Filipinas. I've always said they were pretty before I even knew who they were. Just that they looked pretty. I just thought small, brown, um, beautiful, looked younger than their years. Very captivating to me. And as it turned out, I wasn't trying to, but I got married to a Filipina. My sister said that before she died. She died at, we're twins. She died at 50, when she was 51. And my dad only made it to 55. And I'm already going to be 60 next month. So she said, you're going to marry a Filipina, because she knew I liked them. I never thought about it, didn't know where I'd find them. And I was very upset with her for saying that, as hard as it was to find anybody around here. Well, as it turned out, she was right, and I know she would love, my wife, and my wife would love her. Yeah, those rotator cuffs, and then when you've had enough surgeries, you get used to, you know, well, it's awkward, just cleaning yourself. You may have to have somebody clean you or help shower you because you can't move, or you can't get certain things wet, or you need to take this dressing off and somebody needs to replace it, and they need to put sterile bandages on, and you got to find somebody that can help you for a while. And I've had plenty of that. Prisoners hitting 500 pounds in CDC. There's some strong people out there, but I don't know what the bench press record is. Gotta think it's what, somebody's probably done 700. I don't know how. Probably somebody has. I know the squat. I just saw a squat video last year. I think it was. Is it about 1,100 pounds now? Yeah, it's just incredible. Um, I like watching those strongman competitions because it's just amazing how strong those people are. Uh, Polska says, I read an internet article about the countries that were hardest hit financially by the pandemic, and the two most hit were the Philippines and Thailand. And I feel bad about that for the Philippines. I mean, they're already struggling, and they're trying to get their vaccination rate up to about 80% for their version of herd immunity, so they can let people over there. You know, we're not too far from South Dakota here in the United States. South Dakota didn't close anything down. They didn't stop the motorcycle rally, which they have in August. They just had one for this year. I think they drew about 400,000. I think it was more The year before that, I think it was around 500,000 people. Small town of uh, about 5,000 people still. I used to live there for a year actually, and so we went back last year after 38 years away from it, and I did a video from that. Good old Sturgis, but they haven't shut anything down. They're doing just fine. I mean, there's much to say about this COVID situation. I just don't know who you can trust about that. Yeah, the economy in the Philippines depends heavily on remittances from OFWs, and I'm sure they're still getting those. Um, there's a lot of people that want to see their family, and there's a lot of men who want to see their fiance. Maybe some people are married and their wife is there, and they used to say, well, I mean, now if you, I could go with Isa to the Philippines, but if she was in the Philippines and I was here, I'd have to get that 9A visa, I believe, which I don't need now. But all kinds of little rules that you're supposed to follow. Sex tourism probably struggling like anything else. Well, I'm glad to hear that parabiology. She's excited to become a mother and already picked names with me. We did that too, but sad to say, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm excited for you. I think marriage is the greatest thing. Didn't say it's perfect. I didn't say you're not going to have nights where you're maybe, sleeping on opposite sides of the bed. Hopefully, you're still in the same bed, but it's just you're gonna screw up early on the first couple years. I mean, you're gonna realize that doesn't work. I can't do that. And then you're gonna learn how to communicate. And hopefully you will communicate and you won't be tight-lipped about it. If she upsets you, you should tell her. And you should both apologize for it and both want to learn from that. We've been married over 6 years, and I think it is easier. And when we do have a spat or something worse than that, we recover rather quickly because we've just learned more about each other and how we have to treat each other. Well, the best sex work is to get married. You can have all the sex work you want. You're not going to get a disease. They're not going to leave you. And it's one of the best parts about marriage, actually. Yeah, Filipinos do look forward to being a mother. That's why I feel bad I'm not able to give Isa a child. Yeah, that pedophilia is a big problem, and most likely is the next accepted. Um, what's the word for it? I say variant, but um, the next thing the left will um, be wanting to legalize would be pedophilia. I've heard that for a while. It's coming. Seems like the things that we allow, it just degenerates, and over time, and pedophilia. Some will be clamoring it's their right to be with someone same sex or other sex. It's coming. Um, Really, nothing should be shocking anymore. Yeah, don't think I need that 9A. Operation Underground Railroad has averaged over 100 convictions each year on pedophiles from the U.S. and Canada. It's very big, and there probably will be a push to legalize it here in America, maybe not too far from now. Well, parabiology, we looked into all the help we could get, fertility meds and um, I had what I thought was a really good male fertility. Um, I don't know what was he, a professor or something in the state of Nebraska, and he said, "I don't think it's going to happen. Don't Would not get your hopes up. Don't think it's going to happen." And um, well, that's just the short of it. And we've moved on, and like anything difficult in life, you have to come to a point of acceptance and and just move on from there. I think I would think so. I mean, I would. I mean, if he didn't have anything to suggest that we hadn't already done, I would say we probably ran the gamut as far as he was concerned. Uh, yeah, John, that's part of being in marriage is helping each other with your faults and overcoming them. Um, oh, I think Gary, is this a hidden comment? Probably. Gary Lafferty, thank you for being here. I've heard it. I've heard it for a few years, um, and I'll say it again. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the left is going to. I don't know if championing is too strong a word, but asserting that pedophilia is fair and good. We already got uh, people who don't even know what gender they are. I know what gender you are. You're either a man or a woman. You come into this world as a boy or a girl. That's all. That's all there's ever been. You know, I'm no Rhodes scholar, but I know there's only two genders. I think most people know there's only two genders. Um, but there's a lot of wickedness going on, and um, you look at abortion on demand. Uh, that means up to 9 months without parental notification, taxpayer expense for any reason whatsoever. Um, and this transgendered stuff and um, pedophilia. Yeah, I I believe that's next in line for the destruction of the United States of America, which I certainly hope does not happen. But I have, uh, Gary told my wife to be ready someday if get even more corrupt. I want her to have the option, and she does, to get out of here if it becomes really bad. And there's just a lot of nonsense going on. The nonsense about the left with kids that's a GOP thing, Trump and companies. Um, with what I'm talking about with pedophilia comes from my pastor and the people that he learns from and listens from, and to watch these trends that are happening in the United States. I mean, look, who would have thought we'd have uh, you know transgender and bathrooms where, I mean, it's so confusing. You know, anybody can use that restroom, and I mean that's just nonsense. It's nuts. And so I don't think pedophilia is a big step uh, from where we're headed. I have no confidence in certain people in government. I mean, we already want socialism, not me, communism. We want to control the people. I'm very disappointed in this whole COVID thing. I have just yesterday I read an article where talked about people who definitely did not have COVID, but hospital wanted it written as COVID. I heard of someone here in Nebraska who was told, "Oh, you have COVID." They weren't even tested. A hospital where this isn't the Cuomo debacle, but um, they grossly overestimated, um, lied or whatever, the amount of COVID cases and COVID deaths. You just I almost feel like you can't trust anyone these days. William Wagner, thank you for being here. I have several friends in law enforcement that chase sex pets. Well, yeah, I mean, to just take advantage of women, um, which is the exact opposite of what I espouse here on Love Beyond the Sea. They should be, if you don't respect her, you're never going to have a good relationship with her. You don't try to help her grow and give her opportunities. It's just not going to last. John says, after 6 years of marriage and both of us being independently told we're infertile after 5 months in the Philippines, she got pregnant unexpectedly. Well, again, congratulations, John, and happy birthday to your wife, Cindy. Um, that's got to be a big shock. Well, abortion has been in the news for a long time, Gary. Um, more, what did they say in New York, that blacks abort more babies than they have, and traditionally, black people are aborting at, up to women, up to 70-80% of conceptions with black people end up in abortion. Now, that's just a terrible, terrible thing. Planned Parenthood isn't stupid. They're making their money on blood money from abortion, and they set up their clinics in poor places, highly, with a lot of black women, black people, so they can kill more babies. That's um, that's just that's an indisputable fact. Gary says, "Okay, I'm done with you. You hate the left. The priest is bad about that, and the church." I don't know about the priest comment there. Um, oh, my pastor, if you were talking about the pedophilia coming, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. That's supposedly the next aberration, I guess is the word I was looking for earlier, that will be looked to be accepted in society. I mean, we're letting people mutilate their genitals, thinking they can somehow change their gender, which they can't. And there's a reason transgendered, have suicide rates 15 to 20 times higher than other people that choose to accept how they were. Now they're saying, uh, oh, when you were born, you were like me. When I was born, I was assigned the gender of male. Well, no, that's not the way it was. When I was born, I was a male, and I will always be a male. But they have all these terms to try to influence the way people think. And no, that's just very distasteful. And it's ruining people's lives, the transgendered stuff, and confusing people. Um, Look, I'm a realist. I know there's a lot of evil in this world, and the thought uh, expressed to me that this is what's coming down the line from people that are watching this stuff and these trends. Yeah, I can accept that. Doesn't surprise me at all. And that's not a lie about abortion, Gary. Black women are, most of your abortions are from black women, and some of them have had 5, 6, 7, 8 abortions, and they use it as birth control. I'm not saying all black women, but the statistics don't lie, and Planned Parenthood knows exactly what they're doing. They're not making money through other health offerings. I mean, that's just a rouge. I mean, they're making money from abortion. Um, it's just part of the evil nature of this world. I mean, abortion is very profitable, and it's very sad. But I don't want to come out here and say things. These are you can. It's just a fact, um, and it's just an evil organization, Planned Parenthood. I'm not saying people should bomb their facilities. That would be wrong. But somehow, an end to abortion is what we need. And no, Gary, I think these are just facts that black women abort. Uh, it's like it used to be 75%. Now I saw 80 the other day of conceptions from black women are and an abortion, and yet Black Lives Matter. Um, Black Lives Matter is against the nuclear family, and boy, they shouldn't support Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood doesn't care about black lives. That's for sure. But, I'm just going to say what I think is right and needs to be said. First week of November, John, that's coming up pretty quick. Right. And Filipinas want to be wives, most women. And I think do, and I think that's a good sign. If you come across a woman who doesn't want to be a mother, I think that's a red flag because women want to be mothers. Now maybe they let society get to them, and they I don't know, they just get easily swayed the wrong way. But yeah, let her be a mother. She's a woman. That's what women want to do. But the abortion is in the news again with Texas and Mississippi, and well, we'll see. I'm pro-life. We never really talk about that on this channel, but for what it's worth, yeah, abortion is, what have we lost? 45, 50 million people since Roe versus Wade in the United States. Just terrible. Lots of terrible stuff we could be thinking about and talking about, and it's just depressing. So we don't want to do that. So you guys, I'm glad for everybody that was here tonight. My topic was about 7 perspectives that you should know about your Filipina, and hopefully in another 6 years, I'm still here with even hopefully deeper topics to talk about as I have more experience in my relationship, in my marriage. Parabiology is an unholy agenda. Um, there's a lot of evil in the world. That's just something you should know. And there's a lot of evil in Washington. I think on the left, especially. I mean, the left is pretty much against everything I stand for, which comes from what I believe the Bible stands for. So, abortion, wrong. Transgendered, wrong. Feminism, wrong. And well, that's just how it is. And I was able to find a wife that we have similar views on these sorts of things, which is again something you can talk about before you get married. Right now, people have a lot more time because they can't just get out to the Philippines. But we're hoping we can do that. We'll probably wait till early November before deciding it's just too late. By that time, I'm told it's going to be hard to get domestic flights because they have fewer flights. And then over the holidays, they're going to book up these fewer flights due to COVID. And then you might be able to get the international flight, but not the domestic flight. So it may just not even work out. So is there anything else anyone wants to talk about this Friday night, 10:39, here on Love Beyond the Sea, about being married to Filipina, or anything else? Parabiology, they worship an ancient Sumerian demon, demigod, false god. Moloch actually feeds on blood of children. Um, well, kind of sounds like Planned Parenthood to me. Abortion is not health care. Again, that's another euphemism. They call these things different names to make it sound palatable and acceptable. Um, but children, we need children. Um, but yeah, I mean, you can, Gary can look up these statistics. I mean, uh, Planned Parenthood is feeding on these black women uh, and their abortions. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just telling you those are the stats. That is real, and it's too bad. John says our little pumpkin was totally unexpected, unplanned surprise. It totally changed the rest of our lives. But we've never even considered an abortion, but view it as a gift from God. And at that stage, John, where it's so unplanned, um, yeah, you want to look at that as a gift from God. I mean, even those children that have health issues, and I hope that that your baby is healthy and there's no, you know, complications, which I thought about because of the age of the father and the woman, and nobody seems to agree on if it's the age of the mother or the age of the father that tends to cause some birth defects. But I hope and pray that your child is going to be healthy. Sometimes we have to wait, and we don't see any hope, and then God shoves this blessing into your life, just like my wife was to me after being alone for 30 years. It's a long time. Now I am very happy to be with her, and I do have this channel to encourage other men to look for a Filipina. I think commitment to me means marriage, not, well, I'm only seeing you. Well, you may only be seeing each other, but that doesn't mean you're necessarily committed. I think you want to be committed, propose, get a ring, make it official, and then you have to work things out. So far, so good over here. Um, I know, Gary, we apparently disagree on a lot of things politically, but I'm glad you're here tonight, and John and Para, and some other new names here. William Wagner. I hope I don't miss anybody. Nietzsche Zaiji Polska. Sure, I didn't get that right. No need for a comb here. And who else was here on this unplanned live stream? Lance Germain. Thank you for chiming in here. Horace McKenna, maybe we'll see you again someday. I'm not sure what I probably should do, since getting comments is seemingly almost impossible. Won't cost you an arm and a leg. Thank you for being here tonight. Is to have my hopefully short script, my topic, so I'm not rambling, stay on task, and then open it up to stuff like this. So that's the way it worked today, which is the way I would like it to work. Thank you for everybody being here. It's now time to eat that pot roast that my wife has been cooking all afternoon before it gets too late. Maybe we'll have more people in the next live stream, but thank you for being here, and hope everybody is safe and has a good weekend. That's it for this live stream here on Love Beyond the Sea.